the gang's all here, so yeah, we're in late November. There's some ice down for sure, so it's a bit sketchy on some spots. But not started up yet. We're having a good day.
Hey, welcome back. And welcome back to where? We're down in Grand Bay today. Chris is taking us out for a little rip, and it's pretty late in the season, and it's kind of cold, and you're going to see some ice, and you're going to see some fun stuff. And what kind of fun stuff? Well, let me get a little sip of scotch here, and we'll get right into it.
Oh no, you need a hand?
Get the old critical hit counter up there, but Colin was just fine, got the bike out on his own. There's going to be a few more critical hits through the day, and one fatality, although not in the classic sense, just more in the motorbike humor sense. And down goes Lucas, but he's okay too, and well, geez, Lucas is moving a lot faster this year too. I don't know, maybe it's just me, I'm going backwards, but I don't think so. I think I'm getting faster, just not at the same rate these guys are. So like I said, we're down in Grand Bay, and today's ride's going to be a lot of what you're looking at right now, which is some double track with some good rocks on it, some power lines, and all this ice. There's going to be a fair amount of it, so every time you think you've got a clear path and you take a little jump and your run out on the bottom is this, it gets a lot more sketchy. There's Lance up in front of me, and he's run that bike all season, and it's in need of a refresh of the suspension for sure, and probably a top end. And Lance will talk about that later on, but this is going to be his last ride before all of that happens. So Mighty TM is on its final ride of the year for 2022, and we won't see it again until 2023. Now, if you have an eye for details and you're paying attention to the top of my forks, you're going to notice something different. This is the inaugural ride for the WP Pro 6500s, which I've now finally installed, and I'm going to talk about them later on in the video. Well, with bike season winding down, unless you put the studded tires on, which we did last year, I'm not sure I'll do it this year, but I probably will. One of the upsides is this cold air is thick and dense, and the bikes run really well, and you don't overheat. The big challenge is trying to keep the oil flowing for the injectors and your hands from freezing up. But all that said, today's not that cold. It's probably just hovering around 0 or maybe a degree above or a degree below, somewhere in that range. We do have some flowing water here, but you really want to keep your feet dry because it's going to be a cold ride if you get wet.
Get over my breathing coming out of this. I'll dub over it. I'll say something clever. Oh, they completely went a different way. I went down the rocks.
Well, I'd like to be able to dub over and say something clever, but Chris specifically mentioned the trail on the right that went down into the woods, and I decided to go down on the rock path and get ahead to take some video, and well, this is the extent of the video. Here you go.
Because I
Here comes
rocks,
Chris.
I went
well,
down
the other Chris. This is Chris Carvel.
So Mark's tire came off the rim.
Oh yeah.
Do you think there's any way to...
Yeah, we could spoon it back on if we have spoons and that.
Right on.
Is he running tube or tubeless or moose?
I think he's got a tube.
Is it?
Mark, you have a tube, eh? Mark?
Just turn it in there.
Is that a tube or a tubeless?
There's a tube in there.
Okay. Still got air?
seat? But there's no rim lock.
No rim lock.
It's spun out.
All right, well, based on that, the Struggle Bunny Award goes to Mark. Not because he personally struggled, although I guess trying to get that bike out was a bit of a struggle because he did end up pushing it for quite a ways before we came up with a secondary and finally a tertiary solution. So the zip ties did not hold, and right now Chris is trying to tow Mark out, and the rest of us are goofing around on this hill.
There you go, buddy. All right, the first setup, the zip ties didn't hold, so now we got straps, not duct tape, sorry, electrical tape, zip ties.
Ratchet.
Yeah.
We
Boom.
towed for a bit.
It's so funny, man.
That didn't work well. I don't want to replace clutches.
Growing up,
No.
I knew kids that were just...
Fatality. Yep, that is the fatality, and that is the rescue squad made up of Chris. Fortunately for Mark, we weren't too far off the main road, and we were able to get his bike out, and the rest of us bash on. And bashing on through some of this stuff is a bit of a challenge because those ice chunks are pretty thick, and they keep getting trapped under the tire, and you kind of spin. And Chris is going to show me how it's done by taking a path to the left. Alright, so maybe Chris isn't going to show me how it's done, and Duck Hunter takes him out as well. Well, alright, SSKTM is still trying to break some trail through the ice here, and Lucas is doing a little bush bashing off to my right here, and he's going to find some interesting ground. Lucas might have thought he had some concealment there in the scrub brush, but that Duck Hunter's got some keen eyes. So up in front of me is Chris Graham, and Chris ran in junior last year for the Hare Scramble series, but I'm going to put it out there right now. Chris, if you run in junior next year, I'm going to chirp the shit out of you. It's time to move into intermediate.
Last night I installed these. These are WP Pro 6500s for the Explorer fork. It is a very shit simple install. When I bought them, I had them set to comfort as far as the float valve. No valving beyond that, and instead of running 380 milliliters of oil, I'm running 325 based on some advice I got. They're set at probably, I think it's 18 for a comp and 20, which is probably the most plush setting you can have. Today we've been kind of bombing some fire roads, going kind of quick and hitting some square edge stuff and some rough rocky things. They track really, really well. So, let's get back down to the game.
Alright, well that's an initial impression about these forks, or these fork inserts, and I'll probably do something separate and talk about them a bit more in depth once I get a bit more time on them. If you're interested in that, just leave me a little comment in the below that you want to hear about them, and I'll try and do a video. Alright, back to the video. So here's Colin, cuts in front of me because he can, and you know what? Very kindly he tells me to back up a little bit because he doesn't want to roost me, which is unusual. Colin usually likes to roost me. Well, we got into this stuff here, and it's a bit more technical with the rocks and the roots, and you just got to reframe things in your mind kind of quickly as the terrain changes, so you adapt to it. Initially, I was going a bit slower here because I wanted to know how the front end was going to feel and what kind of traction I had. I have to say, it was good here as well. Well, let's be honest here. The bike is going to be a far better bike for every kind of terrain than I am ever going to be a rider, so it's really just about resetting things for myself to go from a fast double track into a little bit more technical kind of terrain and still be able to make good decisions so I don't crash.
Go on the front.
My front forks, like I've never complained about my front forks.
What do you
like,
think of that,
really,
Lucas?
Yeah.
But they're bad
Good.
now.
That was a nice trial.
They are bad now. I'm really feeling it.
That was fun.
So I went
There might
I
even be
went there a
something
couple
broken
times
in
and
there.
I
That's
cut all the
Oh,
margins back,
that's bad.
Yeah.
because that just goes to a lake.
Okay.
Does it normally move that much?
Yeah, I tried coming on during that little whoopee section.
Yeah,
Just fucking darting around.
This trail is something, eh?
Is that?
You guys are animals through here.
I don't know if we're quite animals. I mean, if Nick Terry was out with us, that'd be different. I mean, the rest of us are house trained. I'm not sure about Nick. But we were picking up the pace a little bit, and even more so later on here, but unfortunately the video cuts out. And I know what you're saying. You're going to, oh, yeah, sure, the video cut out. But we were going faster, and you'll just have to take my word for it. We had a good time on this ride. And before I let it play out, I just kind of want to comment on that. A lot of the times we get together with groups, and it doesn't really matter what you ride, how well you ride, how fast you are, how much energy you have. It's really about the social time, and that can't happen without you there. So whenever we post up about these rides, if you hear about it and you want to come out, come join us. Now we got Colin blocking the trail, and Lance is just going to plug it up a bit more. And what I missed completely until I played this back was Lucas sneaking by there on the inside line.
Oh, Colin just blocks the whole trail.
Well, the video's just about done, and before I sign off and let this play out, I want to say thanks to Chris Graham for organizing this ride, and to everyone who came out, and I hope you all had a good time, and I hope you guys watching this video enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
You guys hear that?
Kicking ass.
Fuck, man.
Good job, buddy.
Fuck, the old back tire was just going.
Yeah.
Oh, I see how you did that. You just fucking went sideways in the trail and sat there spinning.
I was gonna hit him.
Fucking hit him.
And then Lance figures he's gonna pull one on me and runs into the back of you. And then we're all fucking sitting there.